it's MK, and I am here with another Kit Conspiracy layout for you guys today. This one is a little bonus layout using some of my leftovers that I have for the layouts that I actually created for the specific days that we were going to use Kit Conspiracy, which was Fridays, Sundays, and Tuesdays. So I'm just sharing with you guys what my leftovers are. I have a piece of packaging that is also going to help me with my lack of paper. I seem to always have a lot of embellishments left over and no paper to play with. And I'm super excited that I have this plaid paper left to play with. I actually think I was kind of hoarding it, you guys, not gonna lie. But what my leftovers match it beautifully. So I'm super excited. Well, of course they match it beautifully because that's part of the collection. But I am super excited to have them to play with. So I'm just sharing with you guys what I have left over. I have the Nature Study laser cut embellishments, the film strips, and quite a few of the ephemera bits and pieces, and then a couple pieces of chipboard. Now, I also didn't realize that I had that film strip frame. I don't plan on using it, but it was stuck underneath my tray for some reason. All right, so I'm going to use this plaid as my background, and then I'm going to spread my photos onto this packaging. So I'm going to trim them down so that way they fit absolutely perfect and the packaging becomes a photo mat to where all my photos fit. So I don't plan on really measuring out the space. So I'm guessing it is what it is. And then I end up, I end up cutting them all fairly the same because I did not want them to, one be a little skinnier than the other, which is sometimes something I do as well, depending on the picture. But we are at Silver Lake. That was my sticky note that said what layout this was and where it fits back into my album. In case you guys don't know, I put all of my albums together with the photos in it. So my albums are in chronological order, but I do not scrapbook in chronological order, if that makes any sense. So I already have my albums laid out with the order of the way that I want my papers to fit. And, or not papers, I apologize. My photos are in order. And then I end up scrapbooking as I am in the mood or have an assignment for that specific style of scrapbook, I hope that makes sense. And so I have to leave a sticky note, especially when I pull out several photos. So I leave a sticky note to myself, so that way I know where to put where to put this layout back into my album, because at this point, I do tend to have a lot more open areas in my album, especially with this particular trip that we did in June Lake for the Nature Study. Gosh, I have no idea, you guys. I hope that makes sense, but it's basically just a sticky note to tell me where in my album does this layout go back once it is done. And normally when I'm at home, I leave the album open and just have little bookmarks that indicate, okay, this is your next flip here for your next layout. And then the photos are in there waiting for me. I do love this system because I don't have to have a bunch of photo boxes with a ton of photos that never get scrapbooked. I have real albums with a lot of, photos ready to be scrapbooked. And then, of course, I print all of my photos. So that way I can make the decision when I actually get around to making the layout as to which photos I want, or do I want to make it into another layout? Do I want to do one layout, two layouts, those types of things. I really do love that. All right, so I'm just going through all of my stuff, all the goodies left over, and seeing what all I have. I definitely want to use these frames that came in, I believe, the laser cut set. I don't think that those frames were in the ephemera pack. Maybe they were. Now that I'm thinking about it, I think that they were in the die cut pack, and they had elements inside them, but they were frames on pedestals, and so I just want to use them as frames. So I'll be cutting those pedestals off. The tree rings with the words on them really didn't make any of my layouts. I've tried them out on almost every single layout, and they just did not go with the rest of my layouts that I was doing. I just felt like there wasn't enough wood grain to introduce a tree ring of some sort. So those don't get used, but they will be available for another time. I am making sure that I have the correct ratio of mushrooms on my layout. And there's a couple chipboard mushrooms as well as die cut mushrooms. So that way I can spread them out on my layout. And I didn't punch out the laser cut mushrooms because I felt like that was a bit too much. But I did have a mushroom in each of my little clusters with the postage stamps. And so I wanted to make sure that, okay, with this mushroom postage stamp, I want a mushroom die cut, is kind of where I was going with that. And then since I had such a large space to play with over on my right-hand side, I decided to have a cascade of frames just to decorate the page. Now, this page doesn't necessarily need a fancy title. It doesn't necessarily need really anything because this is one in a million of layouts that I'm making for our trip to June Lake. Now, around June Lake are several other lakes, and this happens to be one of them. We walked down a path and, stood at this lake for a little bit. We were just visiting. We weren't really necessarily there to fish or swim or anything like that. We were just passing through and we were stretching our legs and found this path which led to the lake. And this lake happens to be called Silver Lake. Like I said, there are lots and lots of lakes around June Lake. And sometimes when you drive, you might think you're still next to June Lake and you're nowhere near it. You're next to, I'm trying to think of the name of, I think it's Gill Lake, which is the biggest one. That's the one that seems to attract the most people. We like June Lake because it seems to have a lot of people, but not, it's not very busy. It's not crowded to where you're elbow to elbow with a bunch of people. And so I like that. But Gill, I think it's called Gill Lake. Correct me if I'm wrong, but I think that's what it's called. It is the main attraction and definitely very, very crowded. As far as elbow to elbow with people. All right, so I'm just adding a little bit of decorations here and there throughout for my little clusters. So I made sure that each of my photo frames had something going on inside them. So the first two up at the top, they both have stamps. They both have a circular element. And then the one up at the very top has a word saying on the circle element because the one right underneath it, the brown one, actually has words on its circular element. So to me, in my brain, that made sense. I took apart the ticket set that came in the lasers. So that way I had lots more little mushrooms and butterflies and whatnot, leaves and things to play with. So I thought that was just a fun little addition to my yellow frame. And again, I'm adding a little stamp, a little saying, and then a die cut mushroom. But I put the die cut mushroom way far in the back just to extend it out a little bit. I wasn't worried about the white space, which is awkward for me. Normally that white space drives me nuts, but I'm good to go. And then the bottom frame, the green one, again, a round element, a stamp, and then a mushroom. But I also added one of those little torn off tickets. So, and then for my journaling spot, which again, there's not a whole lot of journaling. I'm just going to journal that it was Silver Lake, and we just got out and walked the path to stretch our legs a bit because we were out for a drive. I believe we were going to, oh my gosh, where were we headed? To one of the high schools over there. It starts with an L. I'll have to look that up, you guys. I apologize. But this is where my husband's dad grew up, is in June Lake. They actually lived in June Lake, and he went to high school just down the road, but it's not Leeville. And it's not Lehigh either. Maybe it is Lehigh. I'm not sure. I'll have to look it up. But we were on our way to go visit his high school, and just so his mom could take a picture of him in front of the high school. Kind of like one of those looking back type of deals, because now he's an adult and I just thought it was cute. I really, really did think it was cute because this is something that I would do. I never imagined it was something that, anybody else would do. So to cover up a dead space in my upper photo, I'm just going to make a small little cluster just because I could. Did it need it? No. All the other elements over on the right were perfect enough. I did not need to add any more to it, but I had all these leftovers and they matched really, really well. So I went ahead and just brought them in to my photo and covered up a bush. That's all I'm covering up. So I think it draws your eye into the photo and everybody just enjoying staring down at the lake. So that is my layout for today. I really do love making these types of layouts, you guys, where I have a bunch of stuff to use. I can't really say, meaningless, but the frames represent how, it's like a family photo type of deal. And family photos belong in frames, but I'm not putting them in my frames, if that makes any sense. All right, and then of course I also used the other half of that film strip that I used in my first layout. So I finally got to use that up as well. Okay, you guys, don't forget to check out Janet Fritz, who is Galaxy Girl Creations here on YouTube, to see if she has a bonus layout for you guys today. I'm pretty sure both of us have more than enough layouts for the entire month. I know that I went a little overboard and have more layouts than I have more days in the week. Let's just say that. So anyways, thank you so much for hanging out with me today. I will check you guys all later. Bye.